Hello and welcome to our Unscripted podcast. This week with Bernd Leukert, who is here in the Frankfurt Taunusanlage at Deutsche Bank headquarters, our head of technology, data and innovation. And we have on the East Coast in the United States, Rob Enslin, the president of cloud sales at Google. Rob, is that the first major transaction like that you have done in these 19 months with Google?
Actually, not the very first one. We've done a couple, not many, 2 or 3. This is the very first one we've done in the financial services industry.
Why have you chosen us as Deutsche Bank as your strategic partner in the financial industry?
A couple of viewpoints on that. One is Deutsche Bank's breadth as a global bank. Clearly, it is one of the most significant institutions in Europe and in particular Germany, and has a long, long history in the financial services. The second point is we were very excited with the mission and the vision that Christian, the CEO of Deutsche Bank, had for the bank in transforming the bank into much more of a technology bank. When we look at strategic partnerships, we're looking for companies that want to solve the next generation of problems using data and AI, and actually be able to transform the industries.
That's a very ambitious plan. Rob, what makes that deal so special?
The deal is special because it encompasses all aspects of the bank. It is truly a partnership where we will co-innovate in different areas, whether it be to solve customer issues or know your customer, anti-money laundering, risk management, personalization, actually very early on. When we met, we spoke about the future. You just knew from that very first meeting that we could accomplish together, we could bring together different level of financial services that hadn't been thought of before. And it was just a cultural connection.
Rob just said it, accomplish something together. What do you expect from this partnership?
First of all, it is new for Deutsche Bank to establish a strategic partnership, as the bank has a long history of producing and building and doing everything on its own. And when you look at it from a technology perspective, to have one of the leading global banks combining forces with the leading technology player on the market, that gives you the speed in transformation, ultimately that innovation, the banking of the future, which we want to drive together with Google Cloud.
Rob, let's look a little bit more into the kitchen here. What happened in the last 12 months? How did the team work together?
You could see from that very first meeting that the teams wanted to solve problems, they wanted to work together, and it was very clear the direction from the top was kind of very cohesive from day one. And then even when it came to working through a video, first of all, the technologies we both had were not very easy because we had different technologies, and we needed to figure out a way to make that work. But we actually did really complex projects together during that time around bank personalization, the retail bank, things around federated machine learning, which was really complex. We did all of that in video. And then we also started working on the complexities of this deal, which was making certain we met all the buffer and the regulator requirements, that everything was completely in line with the regulators, and that we could make certain that we had all the security covered and all this. And this just took a lot of time with a lot of folks. In the beginning, we had over 120 people from Google Cloud full-time working with our colleagues at Deutsche Bank, proving this out.
Is there the one moment in the last 11 months, Bernd, which you remember, which is for you a crucial moment?
Yeah, definitely. There was one. And I think the strategy was we have to rebuild the engineering culture in Deutsche Bank. A moment in the due diligence phase, I think it was 8 or 10 engineers, and they were quite skeptical on day one because you saw, Google Cloud, I have no skills, I have no competencies.
Deutsche Bank engineers.
Deutsche Bank engineers.
Okay.
And they were proudly presenting for our private bank a new UI they have built, of course, with significant collaboration with Google engineers in 6 weeks. And they have shown that they can make that happen. And that created engagement, aspiration, and people who have been skeptical before have become the biggest supporter of that transformation. And I knew that this moment, this meeting was kind of the breakthrough.
Is it working already?
It is working. We have incorporated it into our development landscape. We have not rolled it out to the customers. But these are the first things which we have on our radar to roll out.
Why is it so important for us to move our technology into the cloud? What is the big advantage?
I think the answer is simple. We are a bank, and we should focus on banking of the future and leave the technology infrastructure, the basic thing like compute storage network, the sophisticated things like machine learning, AI, speech to text, text to speech, voice recognition. These capabilities we should consume from Google as our technology partner. And we are spending today too much effort on running data centers, on running data lakes, big data queries. All of that is in-house. And if you can convert that resource into banking, I'm dreaming of that already today.
But Rob, this is not only about handing over to you boring infrastructure, I say it like this provocatively. It's also about innovation. What is your vision with Deutsche Bank?
What excites us is the connection with innovation. How are we going to personalize banking in a very new way? How you connect to the bank is dramatically different, and we are working on that. Second is another pair around innovation. You asked, what was the moment for me? I had quite a few moments, but one of the moments was when we were trying to solve cash management. And honestly, the first results were not that great. And then we were talking to our AI and ML team, and they were doing something in the labs around this particular AI and ML technology. And we gave Bernd a call. I remember the day when we called Bernd and said, Bernd, you know what? We think we have a way to do this in a very unique way, but it's not 100% there right now. And we think we can bring some of the world's best engineers to solve this problem. And we can solve it with something called federated machine learning. When the teams got together and they started working, we just knew that this is going to be a game changer. And that's what's really exciting. It's not only about migrating landscapes and running the cloud, but it's also about innovating, and it's about innovating for many, many years together.
Rob, the big elephant in the room here in Germany definitely is, Deutsche Bank is now working with Google. What about this privacy and security? And is now all the information in the US, has Google access to all of that information? What is your answer?
All the information is not in the US. So just in short, when you look at it, when you use Workspace or you use Google Cloud Platform, we do not compromise on security or control of your business data. And Google honestly has been operating in the cloud now for more than 20 years. So we fully understand the implications of security and ensuring that businesses power their own cloud. Now, we clearly have clear commitments, and we've worked together with Deutsche Bank on that, where you own your customer data, and we take stringent security measures to safeguard it. We have tools and features to control it, all on your terms. Our infrastructure doesn't rely on a single technology to make it secure. We've built it security through multiple layers, defense against any kind of security breaches. And our security product, leverage the power of Google's infrastructure and intelligence. We are really comfortable, and actually not only from a security point of view, also from a compliance point of view.
I would say that partnership is creating a role model for future industry collaboration. As we are not just partnering on the business side, which is essential for both companies' success, we have, of course, agreed on terms and conditions which, Rob, I would say no technology company has provided to an industry company in terms of security, in terms of commitment of giving a reliable statement contractually to the customer's data. That is unique in the industry. At least I have not seen it in my 25 years in the software industry, and I have not seen it in my 15 months here at Deutsche Bank. So that partnership is leading edge.
Rob, effectively, you get in Google Pay, you will have an app where people can open up accounts, and so on and so on. Eventually, are we working together as Deutsche Bank with a competitor?
We're not a bank. We don't have a banking license. We don't plan to have a banking license. And Google Pay is a vehicle to make it easier for companies to do business. It's an opportunity for many financial institutions to work with us, and a couple of financial institutions are already engaged with us in that. So it's just another vehicle to participate in the cloud and bringing cloud services together in a way that consumers can interact with Deutsche Bank as well.
When I talked to Umesh Vimuri, your head of strategy, in the summer after you signed the letter of intent, he said that you only have one strategic partner per industry. What makes a strategic partner different to the other partners you're collaborating with?
Google provides compute, network, and storage and our infrastructure. And there are lots of companies that want to utilize that infrastructure to run their solutions on because it is obviously highly effective, highly flexible, provides speed, and so on. And we're very happy for all of those companies that want to do that. When it comes to why we select probably one or two in any industry, not more, it's simply we like to make certain that the companies that we want to strategically work together with, first of all, have a combined culture of what we want to achieve is we want to solve really big problems that help transform industries and shape businesses for the future. And ties to our mission statement of making the world's information accessible and usable for everybody. And with Deutsche Bank, clearly the last 9 months, we've proven that that's what we want to do together. And we want to innovate together, and we want to figure out how to turn the financial services industry and connect that to our vision as well, to make every consumer or user's life easier every day.
What are the problems in the financial services industry?
The next generation of problems are around personalization. What happens to a bank? What happens to a branch? How do I interact with that? How do I bring consumers that have moved away from banking closer into financial services? How do I solve anti-money laundering? How do I understand risk management? And what does asset leasing look like? How do I drive cash management for federated machine learning? How do I get rid of paper?
That's a good innovation. I see Bernd nodding here. And why are you nodding so much? Excites you, obviously.
It excites me, but I want to add one more flavor to it. We have been talking as Deutsche Bank, I think, about an ecosystem, about a platform economy for quite some time. But that partnership enables us to embrace fintechs. So fintechs are not our competitors. I would love that we can onboard them on our platform. I would love to invite them that they consume essential services which only we can offer. Think of our payment services, think of our global currency exchange services. And if these services are connected into their solutions, it's a mutual benefit. We, in that partnership, have the most comprehensive solution to our customers, which they love.
Let's come to an end here. And what will we say in a year's time about this partnership? And what will we say in 5 years' time about the partnership? Let's start with Bernd.
I would say in a year's time, I would love to read that it was not just words of transformation. Things are different in Deutsche Bank. And we see real first proof points up to the customer. In 5 years' time, I would love to read a headline saying it was not just a technological renewal, it was a cultural reset and renewal of the entire company on how Deutsche Bank is engaging with customers in the private banking space, in the corporate banking space, but as well in asset management and as well in investment banking.
Rob, how will you top that?
I will simply say, in a year's time, I would say the competitors of both Deutsche Bank and Google are going to look back and say, this was truly one of the innovative coming together of two industry leaders, and they have certainly started to shape where the industry is going.
And in 5 years?
Wow, I wish we could have done that.
That's a nice headline. Thanks a lot. That was our Unscripted podcast with Rob Enslin on the East Coast of the United States, the president of cloud sales at Google. Thank you, Rob. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Jörg. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
And thanks to Bernd here in Frankfurt, Bernd Leukert, our management board member for technology, data, and innovation. It was great having you. And I think all three of us wish ourselves a lot of good luck with that partnership. Thank you.